next round.
Okay, so can I respond to your submissions, because I wanted to directly respond. I was actually thinking about this coming here because I thought that it was going to be one of the coming questions. How do we even start to decolonize science? Because science is true because it is science, and you know, what can you do? And my response to that was, if I personally were committed to enforcing decolonization, science as a whole is a product of Western modernity, and the whole thing should be scratched off, especially in Africa. So if you want practical solutions to how to decolonize science, we'd have to restart science from, I don't know, an African perspective, from our perspective of how we've experienced science. For instance, I had a question for all the science people. Is there's a place in KZN, in Mkabialingana, and they believe that through the magic, the black magic, you call it black magic, they call it witchcraft, others, that you are able to send a lightning to strike someone.
Planes fly, cars drive, computers compute.
It's an inductive argument.
If you base medicine on science, you cure people. If you base the design of planes on science, they fly. If you base the design of rockets on science, they reach the moon. It works, bitches.
Rape! He's trying to rape me!
Peter and Brendan stood up here and complained that us students, people like Tim and me, are engaged in a discourse of censorship, that we want to silence them. I mean, funny, you don't seem very silenced. For a start, you're here. For a second, you still have your national newspaper columns. Apparently, I don't read them, but people tell me they're still out there. So what you're really saying is that, not that we're trying to silence you, but that we have the audacity to try and erode the platform that our racist and misogynistic society has given to two privileged white men. That is what we are guilty of doing. What you are saying is you personally have a right to that platform, which other people are not given, that you personally should maintain hegemony over that platform. What we are saying is move the hell over. Other people deserve that platform. Other people who are not white, who are not men, and who are not of the people that you call privileged. Move over. And in order to do that, you have to create a space where those people can actually enter into that discourse. What I want to talk about, oh no, thank you, is the discourse of hypocrisy. Because when they stand up here and say that they're engaged in free speech and they want free speech for everyone, they are actively denying the discourse of censorship that they are involved in.
Rape! He's trying to rape me! He's a sex offender!
Brendan, when he refuses to recognise trans people's preferred pronouns and actively misgenders them in his national newspaper columns, is engaged in a discourse of censorship. He is saying, this is language to which I object. People calling themselves she when I think they are male is a language to which I object. I'm not going to recognise it, and I'm going to say that it is wrong. That is engaging in a discourse of censorship.
You're sick. You're one sick fucking demented motherfucker. You know that? Ain't not a motherfucker around here wants.
It's also so arrogant to engage in that discourse when you are not a stakeholder in it. It matters nothing to you whether or not a trans person chooses to identify in whatever way, but you are so arrogant as to think that you are allowed to censor them from doing that.
Ain't not a motherfucker around here wants anything to do with you. Okay?
Okay.
You can't do anything with.
Utterly repulsive. No, thank you. I'm coming to you, don't worry. Peter Hitchens, when you write that a discourse of Islam is what causes Muslim men to rape, you are engaged in a discourse of censorship. You are saying that the discourse of Islam is something that is wrong, something that should not be allowed, something that you object to. Yeah, go for it.
Is it not true that to have a different opinion isn't the same as telling other people that they shouldn't have or they can't have that opinion?
Absolutely not. No.
Rape! He's trying to rape me! He's a sex offender! You're sick.
Angela?
I mean, I just think that modern-day feminism, a lot of it is spoiling for an argument. I mean, the ludicrous campaign about putting women's faces on banknotes when there are legitimate discussions... Well, excuse me.
Me! He's a...
Legitimate. See, this is another problem about feminism. Women are made to feel stupid because they dare to contradict some of the received wisdom about feminism.
That's it.
Well, you don't need to do the Oscar-winning sigh in the process. I mean, the fact is that because there have been stupid campaigns about putting Jane Austen on a banknote, the very real societal issues about domestic violence, about are being overlooked by a bunch of militant women who feel that anybody who bothers to open a door for them is somehow setting back the female cause.
Can I just answer the Jane Austen? This was a good campaign. This was a really wonderful, celebratory campaign because we never had a woman's face on our banknotes. That you're offended by that.
I'm more offended. It's more offensive.
Hang on. You're not celebrating Jane Austen on our banknotes.
I'm allowed to have my opinion.
Why would you not want to do that?
Because I don't give a fuck.
Banknotes in my pocket as the man sitting next to me, rather than whose mush is on the side of a fiver.
Which is exactly what we're here to ensure. You know, it's 45 years since the Equal Pay Act. I absolutely agree that you should have as many Jane Austen notes or whatever is on those notes in your wallet.
But the big issues
to you. Distraction, wasn't it?
Okay, Angela's point is the big issues are more important
because there is a shortage of role models. That we judge women more harshly, and one of the reasons why sometimes because there is a gender pay gap here. Now, the gender pay gap here is, of course, much, much smaller than it is in other parts of the world. You can measure gender pay gap in all sorts of different ways.
But it's about women earn 80p for every man's £1. Angela.
As a declared non-feminist, but as somebody who went to the same school as the Pankhurst sisters, I went to a girls' school where female endeavour was absolutely embraced and encouraged.
We went to the same school.
Oh, wonderful. Well, there you go. So the fact, well, there you go. That shows the broad range of thoughts and opinions that were encouraged at our school. The fact is that I think, personally, I feel that feminism is irrelevant and outdated in this country. Girls routinely outperform boys at school. More girls go to university than boys. Without question, there are issues, perhaps, about things like equal pay, but that's a societal issue. It's not a feminist issue. And the more that we create this chasm between men and women, the more we kind of encourage that idea. I mean, the thing is that biology did not make us inferior. It simply made us different. So if there aren't that many women in Parliament, as maybe Louise could testify, it's not so easy to balance a family with certain unsociable jobs. So it's not that we're not capable. We may not want the things that men are doing.
I do think we can't let this pass without talking about the inequities that are inflicted on men in the name of feminism, which is making our modern movement into a joke. Today we hear that Sir Colin Blakemore has resigned from the Association of British Science Writers over the shameful treatment of Sir Tim Hunt, who was lied about in the name of feminism, and the reporting on him was proven to be completely false. He didn't make a sexist joke that was received in silence. There's audio of the applause, and yet, despite the evidence, we've seen that people who are totally committed to their ideology refuse to back down, even when audio and photographs prove that Sir Tim made no such remark. And this is an ally of women.
But what's your point about women's rights?
I think
it wasn't women's rights that brought him down, was it?
Yes, it was. And it wasn't women's rights. It was the traducing of feminism to say distractingly sexy, let's have a hashtag, let's fit up a man for something that he didn't do. And that's why feminism is a joke. It's a joke in Britain.
All right.
I'm just using common sense right now, and you guys are using sources. What are your statistics for women getting paid less than men? The wage gap. I mean, honestly, as I said, I can look at it right now. It's more of a common sense phenomenon. To validate my opinion, it's the same thing that is done on an everyday basis, but you can manipulate statistics. Okay, then what is this common sense that women are paid less than men? All right, how many women do you see in top positions across the country, in leadership positions or board positions or president positions, as opposed to male positions? Because I said that there are not as many females in either leadership, board, and your argument for that was that a woman gets pregnant. No, that's not what my argument was. My argument was that women don't go into that field as often as men. And besides that... Why don't they go into that field as often as men? Because you've already made the statistics that more women graduate from college, which means that they do have the same ambition, if not more than what men have originally. Because you're the one who made the argument that you have more women graduating already with an associate's degree, almost a 2-to-1 fact than what men do. So what you're saying is that you have more women entering the workforce and are trying to get a degree to further their education, which backs up my argument that more women are trying to break through the glass ceiling and be represented in the top positions. Mr. Barron,
for computer sciences. No, I am. Let me get to my point.
Talk about
Hold on. Okay, computer sciences. 32,288 associate's degrees given to males, as opposed to 8,814 given to women.
I know. So why don't you
That's a higher
about all the other things?
Right, yes. So, then, for
Talk about the
social,
other
social
640,000 degrees that we talked about.
social sciences, which there's 6,000 men go into social sciences. There's 8,000 women